Thank you. Thank you for becoming a sounding board so that we can describe and bring to life all the efforts that we are making at the moment as a group to bring this vision of the School of Young Leaders into life, into fruition.
We do a spontaneous conversation of some questions and for you to be able to answer the main key parts that I think everyone would be interested in hearing right now and inspire because I would say from knowing you, that's one of your greatest talents.
Thank you, Serena. I'm honored. Back in 2006, I changed my career. I was in the corporate world before that as a marketing and communications manager, working mostly in Britain. And I came back to Greece and decided after a 4 year trial of working in our family business in Athens that I wanted to change and start living a life in a more quiet part of the world, Crete. And that brought a career change. So that's when I entered the academic world and started writing my PhD. And for the first time, I was in front of the students, and I immediately noticed that there was something wrong. I noticed that their eyes were empty, empty of ambition and passion for life, empty of hope. And it was as if they were asking, okay, so you will tell us a few things, we will learn. And then at the end of all our studies, we will have a degree. But what will we do with this degree? And, you know, are we even going to be able to manage to finish our studies? So I felt that there was something missing from the way that young people are taught, and that the key element that was missing was helping them become and feel, helping them feel more confident in themselves and more sure about who they are and how to embrace their authentic nature and their uniqueness. Because I believe that unless we embrace who we are and have the courage to follow our dreams, it's very difficult to evolve and learn new skills or receive new knowledge that we can actually apply and progress in our life in a way that it's not just about survival, but it's also about thriving and enjoying life and embracing the connections with other people and wanting to be of service to other people, society, and the planet. So it's this gap that created the idea of a vision of a new way of learning, one that is more life enriching, more practical, and more appropriate for the needs of young people who are at the stage of discovering who they are and testing out their wings.
Mhm. It made me tickle. I'm aware also that recently you've put it together into a system also to be able to explain it. That is focused on values of yours and values from the experiences you've encountered throughout. It must be more than 20 years now that you've been in education and in touch with youngsters and being a mother also. If you would like to talk about the system that you've come up with,
So
questions like
yes, there is a system that I developed officially in 2013. I started building a blueprint that would guide students through an elective subject that I created, which was a subject on leadership, which in effect was a self-leadership elective that students in the last year could choose to do if they wanted, with the objective to empower them and prepare them for their next step, finishing university, to be able to be ready to hit the ground running for future employers. So that would increase their employability and also their self-confidence and self-efficacy. So this system is started off being as an outcome of the skills that you would need to be more emotionally intelligent, because emotional intelligence, as we well know now, is a key parameter for success in life, in control of your life, being in charge of your life, being the master of your life, and not being reactive and dependent on the opinions of other people. So this is a very important mindset that I believe young people need to have at their start. And this blueprint that I developed, which actually is called Sparks Leadership Development System, from the original name of the vision, which was bringing the sparkle in young people's eyes, coming from that experience of looking into their eyes and not seeing any sparkle, any life. And Sparks is an acronym for the 6 elements that comprise this blueprint. These are 6 categories of life skills, transferable life skills, that from my experience, young people need to have in order to be able to stand on their own 2 feet in life, in a place of power and in a place of courage to follow their dreams. So one of the elements, these elements, in summary, are self-awareness and self-discovery. The other element is all about self-leadership. So taking initiative, managing to set your own targets and being self-motivated to achieve them. It also includes a huge element of being aware and knowledgeable about the way your body, mind, and heart connect together, and how they interrelate, and how you can actually be in sync and return to your own core authenticity by using skills which are within that sphere of self-leadership. And then there's systemic awareness, being able to understand and be aware of your external environment and the change that makes the difference, being aware of motives and trends. It also gives you the ability to be able to have foresight. And then these 3 being developed also help you in being more impactful in the way that you relate with other people in a more harmonious way. Now, these 4 elements, which are very much linked to emotional intelligence, need the substances of mindfulness and presence, and also kindness. At the basis of this blueprint, however, is the idea that you cannot explore who you are or develop any whatsoever skill unless you are your own best friend. So self-compassion, kindness towards yourself, is the root of this blueprint. And this is a system that finally has been tested for more than 9 years within an academic environment using experiential learning. And it has also been applied in company settings, because now, at this moment in my career, I actually have my own business for the past 2 years. And one of the services that I offer is transformation of managing their teams in a more humanistic, kinder way, which is more in tune with what the needs of the future of work holds. So it's been tested. It also comes together with a 40-item questionnaire, which can be used before and after the intervention, so that people can evaluate the effectiveness of this system. And this will form the framework for the curriculum of the school.
Okay, it's quite multi-diverse.
Yes, all the skills are very
It
transferable
takes the
skills.
education, but it's to create leaders and entrepreneurial minds in a sense. It may come from
Exactly.
education, but is going towards finding yourself, because each one of us can be an entrepreneur and each one of us can be a leader in a sense.
Exactly. You need to be very sure of yourself and
Good leaders.
very connected.
And would you like to speak more about the School of Young Leaders, the way you can imagine it?
I imagine it being a global school, not necessarily one that is located in a specific geographic position on our planet, but a system of satellite hubs whereby these hubs will be bricks and mortar, but that's not the point. It's more like a network of like-minded young people that will come together in the different hubs, like the buildings, but only in order to meet up as a community of like-minded people to celebrate occasions and to feel that they are not alone in this journey of learning. However, the learning will take place not in a classroom, typical classroom setting, but the learning of the skills, like, for example, resilience, creativity, how to be humble, how to be kind, how to listen actively, how to present complex or original ideas in order to have an impact on your audience. These skills will not be taught in the traditional sense, but they will be learned through lived experiences. The school will have a set of, like a menu of different experiences, life experiences, that students will be able to choose from, and they will be assisted in choosing which experience is appropriate for them. People like myself and others with experience in education will be able to evaluate and help the students locate which skills they are missing or they could develop even further in order to come closer to their authentic self. So, for example, one experience would be going off for about 3 months in the area of nature reserves. There's a nature reserve which has many opportunities for young people to come in contact with nature, a specific experience that they can go through, which has to do with beekeeping and hunting for truffles within that nature reserve area. So one of the experiences would be to be in the company of a well experienced beekeeper who actually does this profession as a job, but also because they are very passionate about nature and the bees and their life and life in the mountain. So a young person would be in this company for 3 months, learning the skills of beekeeping, learning the skills of connecting with nature, of listening, of observing, developing systemic awareness, developing self-awareness, developing the skill of active listening, developing resilience, patience, developing the skill of being humble, and all this within a natural environment, and also coming in contact with people in the area, like people who live in the local village. And through this experience, mirroring who she or he is. So discovering in a very organic, natural way, in the presence of somebody who would act like a mentor, an experienced mentor. So another such experience would be very similar to the one that you had, Serena, and that's where the inspiration has come of
Mm.
the menus of experiences. You set off from Norway on a bicycle, and in the company of your friend, you traveled across 9,000 kilometers all the way to South Morocco over a period of 14 months. And my experience of you before and after was that you were totally transformed. It wasn't that it was a new you, but it was more authentic, more mature, more life experienced young woman that I met after your journey. So you can actually bring some examples of these transferable skills that you got from this journey. If you'd like to bring some examples so people can understand what an experience can give, which a classroom cannot.
I definitely would put it under the blanket of going into the unknown and going outside your comfort zone, something very new and where there's a bit of fear also, or maybe a lot of fear, does put you in another place that you've never experienced before, and you learn something new about yourself. And also to be kind to yourself, I would say also, because it's not necessary to be pushing your limits all the time. And when it's a bicycle trip, you can put the pressure if you want, because it's sports, it's a long journey, and you go through hard conditions, like weather conditions and temperatures rising or low or going very low. There are days that you might encounter difficulties either with people, either with your relationship with the partner you're cycling with. It has definitely given me a confidence in my decision making and who I am. My values became more clear of what I appreciate and what is important to me in life. For sure, resilience. The one thing I learned is that keep going because you'll find the answer.
And I suppose problem solving was also another key skill that you developed. You had to solve quite a number of problems that arose that were not foreseen, and you had to solve them immediately. Some of them had to be solved on the spot. So you had to be very creative, I suppose. Another example of an experience and what gave me inspiration for this idea of a more experiential way of learning these transferable skills is the experience that you had, Serena. You traveled by bicycle with a friend from Norway all the way down to South Morocco, traversing 9,000 kilometers over a period of 14 months. And I noticed how drastically you had changed after this experience. And I think it wasn't that you had changed, but you had become more authentic and more close to who you really truly are, the core. So, would you like to share with people what this experience gave you in the way of transferable life skills, leadership skills?
I would say three key life skills, transferable life skills, have come out of this trip. And I would say the first one would be resilience. Then the second one is creativity. And the third one, I would say connection. The resilience, it's and the most important one in order to pace through a trip of 9,000 kilometers and crossing 9 countries and living in a tent more than 450 nights. We had to face the cold many times. That reminds me of a time in France that it was getting very cold. It was during COVID, so people were not that welcoming you would expect. We had to find a garage to sleep in for the night because the cold was too cold to be outside with our second-hand tents. We decided to knock on doors. It was getting dark and we were knocking. We almost reached about 23 doors. The 23rd opened. Experiences like that, or an experience of falling off a bike and having to get up again and find a way, a solution. It happened twice and it turned out okay both times. Creates this resilience, I would say, that then connects to creativity because you will face problems. You decide that one part you have to take it by a bus or by a train. For instance, in Spain, the roads were not made for bicycles at all. And we were on a highway. We were reaching on a highway. So at that moment, we had to think fast. Okay, what's the next step to make us feel safe again within seconds? It puts you in a place that you discover new things about yourself, creates a trust, I would say, in what you're capable of doing. And when it comes to connections, it's definitely the people. You realize how much we made more than the 350 connections by staying in people's houses, people inviting us in house, a way to meet the world, I would say, on the bicycle and traveling by land, being exposed to the outside world and taking it slow travel, I would say. That created a lot of open doors for us. I really enjoyed it. I would do it again.
So coming out of your comfort zone, and that was constant almost every day, you were outside your comfort zone.
Outside the comfort zone, and also realizing where it's the limit of this comfort zone. If something is going wrong, you might need to reflect, to take a pause. Resilience as that is the flexibility that you need to have the unforeseen circumstances.
To
No,
the, yeah.
it can be
So you
weather,
have
it can be something that happens that day that you don't expect. Like you forget your cutlery that is so important to you in the middle of nowhere in Morocco, and it's in a gas station, and you have to cycle back, and it takes you a day to cycle back. So you stay.
brilliant. So this is an example of the type of transferable skills that come out from experiencing life rather than sitting in a classroom and being taught a traditional setting what resilience is, what creativity is, what connecting with other people is.
The only way you can experience what practice means is by doing it, by
Mhm.
living it yourself.
Exactly, exactly. So this is the concept of the way we would like to see the school going. And that is not to say that there wouldn't be occasions when students would all gather together. We would use this as an opportunity to meet each other and feel that they are part of a wider community of future leaders of this world, whereby they would be shown in a practical and as an experiential as possible way in a natural environment what certain skills are which need to have a more formal setting. For example, the steps. What does active listening? What does being mindful mean? So, what is sitting and meditating? How does that feel? So that would be done in a group learning environment, always close to nature and always sat in a circle, never in a traditional one behind the other classroom setting, and never in the sense of somebody being higher, like the teacher, and somebody being lower. So we also wish to break this stereotypical hierarchy in education, which is that the teacher knows all and the student just sits and passively listens. So often there would be a case when students would become teachers and show others. There would be a lot of peer learning rather than teacher-student situations. So these three skills that you mentioned, Serena, are also the three main skills that come out from a huge research project that Martin Seligman, the father of positive psychology, undertook with Kellerman, which showed that the three key skills that we people need in order to thrive in the coming years are not your typical skills, but they are in fact resilience, creativity, and connection. So that's very much in sync with what you've been talking about now, Serena.
For you, what is the school for young leaders different to other systems that can exist? So, for instance, I'm aware that there's workaway opportunities. Workaway is a system that volunteers can go travel around the world and experience volunteering projects by there. It's for free, the project, and the accommodation, the food usually is covered by the exchange of working 5 hours a day or other systems that exist. What makes it different?
The idea is to create a leadership mindset in young people who are our future, who will be able to be the lights of tomorrow, the people who are change makers, who will create a shift in the way that we interact with nature, we interact with other people and the planet, in order to be more loving and kind, more in the service of humanity. So there is a purpose behind the experience. It's not just about experiencing, but it's also preparing young people and also people who are not so young, maybe, but have been ostracized by the system and have lost their direction in life and would like to regain their inner compass and connect with their hearts and be of service to humanity. So there is a purpose, deeper purpose. So within this virtual incubator, people will learn how to ride the wave and feel their strength to become change makers.
Mm. For me, the way I understand it and see it is a combination of education and being in an incubator where you learn together and you have discussions and you're able to connect and share with
Mhm.
like-minded people in a sense,
Exactly.
and then put it into practice because for instance workaway is more just a practice. Here it has a purpose, what this person becomes after this experience, I guess.
Exactly, exactly.
Wow.
And it's not the traditional sense of leadership, it's in the sense of self-leadership, of being of service to the community, of being a good parent, a conscious parent, of walking the earth in a much more conscious and loving way. It's a very heart-centered way of existing, a more humane way of existing. And I just want to add to the mindset of the school that we want it to be a very playful way of learning. Because in my experience in university settings, the best way that people learn when there is learning through play. Even when I go into companies to train people how to delegate projects to their teams, I do this through Lego.
Hmm.
So playfulness and joy are going to be significant parts of the life of a student in our schools because we're talking about satellites, so that's why I'm using the plural.
Hmm. Okay.
But I would also like to
Hmm.
explain to people what the structure of the school is going to be because it has to be grounded here on Earth. So it's
Exactly.
going to have
Yeah.
to operate in a
That's the thing.
much
Yeah.
more.
And I think, to be honest, this is a bit of a story. Like, it's a very like I think it's nice to be authentic. It's nice to be truthful of that this is the process, and that's why we are also doing this interview today. That it shows that there is an idea in the mind and a vision, a dream in a sense, and it involves a lot of people and how something can go into becoming real, like tangible. It is a process and to put it into practice in a sense, and it's happening. I'm seeing it happening. It's the beginning of it, and it'd be nice to hear more.
So if I can just explain how the setup is going to work. We have about 15 volunteers in a group, and we've been meeting virtually because people are all over Greece at the moment, but there are also other people who are waiting in the wings eagerly from other countries to join. And we are deciding gradually that we need to form some sort of a company format. So we've already designed an initial business plan. So there are going to be two parts to the way that we will be operating. One will be clearly the main purpose of the school to give these life skills to the students through experiences. There's also going to be a more commercial part, which will be one of the main sources of income to the school. So there'll be a training center of experiential leadership offerings, services, mainly to companies and organizations across the world, very much in tune with the basic values of experiential learning of the school. So that's the way it's going to work. And of course, as such a big project will require a lot of funding. So we're also preparing the business plan in order to be able to present it to potential investors, business angels, and funding foundations, European Union funds, or maybe we'll also do some crowdfunding. That's for the group to decide. So we're very much passionate Everybody's very eager, and even though it's all volunteering, we are committed to making this happen, and we're very excited for what's about to be attracted in our pathway. And at this moment in time, the reason that we've done this video is to give an idea to potential volunteers that would like to join this group. We need a lot more minds and ideas and hands and people that have a can-do attitude, and
Mm.
also people that have a variety of skills. It's not an academic, there's no academic requirement. So maybe I'm the only one who will have a PhD in our group. So there's no requirement for people to have a postgraduate degree or even a degree. So we invite people from all walks of life. It's just about having this wish to contribute something greater than what we would normally contribute in our everyday lives, because everybody's very busy. Everybody's trying to make a living. Everybody's trying to have a social life and hobbies and balance their lives in this very quick pacing environment and very stressful environment that most of us are living at the moment. However, this is a great opportunity for people like myself and like you, Serena, who are visionaries and dreamers and want to become the change that they wish to see in the world. Like Gandhi once said, people who are themselves change makers and are willing to get out of their comfort zone and contribute to something that will be there much after they leave this planet. So it's about leaving a positive imprint on the planet and the lives of the next generations. I believe, from my point of view, that this is something that I owe as a thank you to being alive and being part of the human race.
It's a really good point to end, I would say, what you just said. And it feels like a good way to end also this interview as an introduction to this vision that is coming into fruition right now. And if you would like to add anything else, let me know.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think what I'd like to say is that if people want to find out more about my background and see some details on the vision, they can visit my website, which is www.artofjoy.gr. But it's more about welcoming the connection, and you can even email me. And I am open to suggestions. I'm open to people offering their services and their time to volunteer. And I'm also very open, as the whole group is, to potential investors and funders. Thank you,
Well, thank you
Serena.
very much today, Alex.